Welcome to What's the F?
What the F?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. All right. I am super duper stoked today because I have my friend and my colleague, Julie Burkhardt, on this show. Julie, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Effie.
I'm very honored, and I want to say thank you. And I'm sure that there is a lot that people are going to learn that's going to be a little surprising. We shall see. But I think that I would like to start us off by most people know that I ask my guests to talk about their favorite movie. And then I insert them just for fun. I try to poke fun at them. And I have done likewise for Julie. And I'd like you to tell me why you chose these movies. And it should be known that in Julie's case, I have actually done two adverts. The one with Aaron Brockovich, and then the one with Norma Ray. So, and
a lot of the people on here probably weren't alive when those movies came out. So
maybe not. But talk to us.
Maybe.
Why these movies, Julie?
Well, great question. I've always sort of identified with that, kind of strong woman, sort of, anything boys can do, girls can do better kind of thing. But that they just always resonated with me. Just people that are fighting for the underdog, or people that are righting an injustice, things like that. I guess I've just sort of always had this strong sense of justice, and I want people to be treated fairly and equally, and so that's why those things just sort of popped into my mind as something that I felt like represented me. So well, and I'm so stoked too, because I got just before we came on, I was reading through some emails, and I get this little newsletter from home, and I read there's a woman named, and some of you might remember her. Her name was Sally Reed, and she was actually from Idaho, and she is the one who, in the 70s, it was actually, the case started in the late 60s. Took a while to get to the Supreme Court, but she is the one who was instrumental in getting the laws changed that gave men precedence over women when it came to, like, financial matters, for example. In my lifetime, women were not allowed to have credit cards in their own name. They weren't allowed to own property in their own name. And this case was so this woman was married. She lived in the same house in Boise from the mid 30s to like the 90s. And she and her husband divorced somewhere along the way, and they had a son. Well, the son died when he was in his teens, and she filed to be the administrator of his estate. Now, he didn't have much, a few $100s and some personal belongings, but the upshot was her husband filed for the same thing. And the law at the time clearly said that in cases like that men should be given precedence over women. And she didn't think that was right. And she went through like 16 different lawyers until she found someone who would take her case. And he actually teamed up with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who at the time was a law professor.
Excuse me.
Supreme Court.
Okay.
And so, I was like, this woman was from Idaho. And this stuff happened in my lifetime. This is not that long ago. So I just, I was reading that and I got all fired up. I'm like, I got to talk about that.
For sure. For absolute sure. Because it is amazing to think that in our lifetime, crazy stuff like that has happened. Now, a lot of our, we talk to a lot of ladies that are younger than us, and they may not really get that because they grew up in a better time. But there are still inequities that exist. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
is not, it's not, only, um, happening there. It's happening in a number of different places for sure. And Amy says, thank goodness for women like that who paved the way for us. That's
Yeah,
absolutely
I remember that case was in 1971, and the Supreme Court ruled that the equal protection under the 14th Amendment did indeed apply to women as well. And I remember when Title IX came in, I was still in school, and when Title
Mhm.
IX came in and gave girls equal sports, I well remember that. And, that was a big deal. And
Oh,
I actually
absolutely.
worked in sort of a male-dominated career, which we can talk about later. But you know, it was a big deal and
And
I
look,
won't say that I was the first or anything like that, but I was one of the early people to work, and a lot of the bosses and men that I worked with were still like, this is a man's job. What are you doing here? But mostly they
thank you,
were
Pansy.
pretty good.
Pansy's giving us a compliment.
Hey,
That's so
Pansy.
nice. And the honest truth is that when it comes to sports, we're still behind. I mean, soccer teams, women's soccer teams are now, or maybe it was only in Canada, I'm not sure, but one of the either Canada and or the States, female soccer teams are suing because they're better. I
The
think it was in
pay.
Vancouver. Yeah, they're
It's the
better
Yeah.
performing than the men. They're better
Mhm.
performing. They're closer to the World Cup and they're getting pennies. And
Mhm.
it's like, really? To this day,
Yeah.
so it is interesting to see that it's still going on. So I think that,
Yeah.
um,
My
you know,
sister worked in corporate America for 35 years, and she kind of started out as basically a secretary and ended up in middle management. And I know, and she knows that she was not paid the same as the men in her, in her same categories in management. And she worked and clawed her way and got a
yep,
master's degree in business,
right.
and yeah.
Of course. Of
So,
course. And we just had Josh Keating join us.
hi,
And
Josh.
I know that if he had been here on time, Josh, he would have completely agreed with everything you said so far. Josh,
Of course.
I've got to tell you, Julie's been talking about the inequities of life, and of course, the inequities also exist over and above gender. You're right. You're busted. That also goes with race. It goes with ageism. There's so many things that it goes with. But
But I
and
don't,
I'm glad
I
that
don't, I've never liked the victim mentality. I'm just like, screw you, I'm gonna do it anyway. Like a
totally
couple of those pictures that I sent you, I'm doing it.
exactly.
You can't stop me.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, speaking of pictures, I'd like to start off. I do include pictures of people, and I am interested in showing some of these because I want us to talk about your life. So, I have a picture here of 4 young people without telling us who yet. Hold it back, Julie. How many of you can guess which one is Julie? And she's not on either end. Okay. Because on either end are the brothers. So don't put down on the right end or the left end. But which one of you,
My
which
brothers
of
are
the two
handsome,
do you
but
think is Julie? Can you give a guess out there, guys? Tell me which one you think is Julie. Is she wearing the plaid skirt or is she wearing the, I'm going to say green dress? Okay, so Samantha. Oh, hi, Samantha. Welcome. So Samantha says the taller one because, of course, we all know that Julie is taller. Nicole says, nah, the little one. And I'm being corrected. It's not green. Oh, the right side. Now we're getting some of the guys in here. All right. That is hysterical. All right. So we've got 2 guesses for the the blue dress or green dress, whatever, the little one, and one for
green.
the taller. Well, and then we have Jonathan saying the shorter. Okay, so I am sorry, Samantha, but you're the white shirt. Keisha. All right. So, shall we tell them? Hi, Barb.
can
Thanks
tell
for
them,
coming,
yes.
guys. Thanks for
I'm
coming.
actually the little one. I'm the
Yeah.
little one. My three siblings are all really close in age to each other, and I'm the youngest. I'm about the 7 years. So it's my oldest brother is the tall one, the tallest one, and then my sister is next, and then my other brother on the other end is the one that closest in age to me, and yeah, I'm about 7 years younger than him. So yep,
Interesting.
I was the little one.
Interesting.
My parents wanted an even 2 and 2, and so
They got it.
they guessed
They
right.
got it. Now, how old are you in this picture?
That's first grade.
First
First
grade.
grade. So
So
seven,
cute.
six, seven.
And now I'm starting to see the Julie I know, just a little. What kind of a student were you? What were you like in school?
I was a pretty good student until probably I got like into high school, and I was just bored. I wanted out. I was
Okay,
like, I don't know.
but not
I,
at
I
this point. At
liked
this
school. Like I
point, you
loved
were
reading. Reading was my favorite thing. I read books. Like I could read before I could go to school because my dad read to me, and I loved books. I love books. So,
yeah.
yeah. And
That's awesome.
unfortunately, stupid internet has ruined reading for me, which says
Okay,
something more about me than the internet. But still,
I hear you. And then where are you in here?
this is college. That was one of my college roommates,
Oh, this is
Fran.
college. Okay.
Yeah, that was I was probably 18 or 19 there. Yeah, I went to a 2-year tech school out of high school. So
Okay.
I went for recreation and wildlife management, and
Okay. So
Franny
hold
was
on to that for a second. Are we moving forward or backwards here?
that's backwards. That would be about junior year of high school.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I put it the other way around. And how about here?
I think that's senior year of high school. Yeah,
All right.
that was like
And
homecoming.
okay, so senior year of high school, and then we would have had this picture here.
Yep. Yeah. Because
Oh,
during high school, I had long hair down to my butt. And when I went to college, I got it sort of cut off, and I got bangs. I got it cut shorter, but it was still long.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
yeah, I
Jonathan
had long
says
hair.
something is clicking. I don't know. Oh, I hear it. I hear it now. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but so I have to ask about this one.
You like
What the
very
heck?
80s, very 80s,
Yeah, it is
right?
very 80s, but I was like, look at that hair. And where is she? What's she doing?
I was goofing around with some friends. I think this is in Nevada. Yeah, that's out at Pyramid Lake. We had my ex and I at the time had some friends visiting from Ohio after I moved out west, and we were just goofing around out there. But
Okay,
I'm trying to get
interesting.
those arms back. I've been going
Yeah,
to the gym for 4 months trying to get those arms back.
that's hysterical. Almost as hysterical as this. What the frick? If you
I
hadn't
thought
sent
you
me
would
this,
get a good.
I would not have known it's you. A love bite. But what's going on?
Well, I belong to this amazing group of women who like to camp, and we also occasionally get dressed up and do goofy things. And a friend of mine she had a recreation property, and a bunch of us got together, and we would camp there for her birthday in the summertime. We did that for several years, and we would get dressed up, and then we'd go. And this was in this little tiny town that had a couple of really great restaurants, believe it or not, out kind of out in the sticks. But we would go get dressed up and go down there and have dinner and dance and act goofy. So this particular year was the theme was pink prom. Now you have to know something about me is pink is the least favorite color of mine. I cannot stand
Well,
pink. I cannot wear. But so the theme was
you're
pink
rocking
prom,
it
and
here,
so
girl. You're rocking it
I
big
had pink
time.
high tops and the whole deal. So, so the motorcycle comes in because there's, there was a guy that shows up on this bike, and, and we're all oohing and on, and he's inside having a drink. And one of my friends was taking a picture of me next to it. And he comes out onto the porch and he's like watching us. And I said, I swear I am not touching your bike. I promise I won't touch it. And then my other friend's like, can she sit on your bike and let me take her picture? And he's like, okay.
I love it.
And then he ended up giving a bunch of us rides. And I was like, all these middle-aged and older women,
that's so
he's
funny.
giving us rides
That
on
is
his Harley, and
funny.
we're dressed in pink, and it was fun. But we have a good
Yeah.
time.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. This one is my very favorite one because I think it does show you as you are. Let me see if I can make it blow up. Yep. I see you as being very comfortable with yourself, definitely at ease with, the ranch, cowgirl feel. And I just love how honest and real it looks. Very, very much. So
Well, we haven't had our horses in a long time, and a friend of mine she got kind of a little private group. She would invite a few friends to go up to a place called Saddle Camp. Now, Saddle Camp is a place; it's not an event. So it's an outfitters camp up in the Bitterroot Mountains on the Idaho side of the divide there near Lolo Pass, and we would go up there and spend several days riding horses and hanging out at camp. And yeah, it was fun. I went I think about 3 years in a row. I was invited to go. So that was fun.
Very nice.
Yeah. So, yeah. And we had horses for a long time. And that was one of the things when I moved to Idaho, was that I was excited to be able to, ride my horse and do all the things. But
So
yeah, I'm just generally an outdoors person.
Yes. Yeah, you're definitely outdoors. There's no doubt about it. I think that it wouldn't be a good idea for you to be in New York City to live. But I want to ask a little.
I don't even really want to visit there, to be honest.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
on my bucket list. Like, there's a few things I would like to see, but just to go to New York City, it's not high on my bucket list, I'll just say.
So when you were a little girl with those siblings, where were you?
Well, we were born in West Virginia, in the northern panhandle of West Virginia. A friend of mine he says, no, that's Pennsylvania. That's not real West Virginia. Because it almost really close, not that far from Pittsburgh, really. But we moved after our mom died, we moved to Ohio. My dad moved us to Ohio for work purposes, which I've always been grateful for. I have tons of family in West Virginia, cousins, tons of family back there going way back. But we moved to Ohio, and I grew up there, went to high school, all my schooling there. And I always wanted to live in the West. Does that include college? Yes, I went to a 2-year tech school in Southern Ohio. Yeah, that was like one of the best times of my life. I met I'm not really sure. We all kind of have this feeling about that time. It's so funny. Like, we drank our brains out, which was ridiculous. But I consumed so much beer, playing beer pong, and just stupid. But it was fun. We had so much fun together, and I don't know. It ranks up there with one of the funnest times in my life, really, and nothing to do with the alcohol, but it was just good time.
So did you say you went out west after that? I would cut you off when you started saying that.
Yeah, no. I got married early, which was dumb on my part, but worked
lots
for
of
a
us
few
did
years.
Back then.
Well, yeah, got married too young, but I really always I just had this yen to live in the West. And in fact, one of my we've talked a lot about goal setting throughout the sub-2 community, goal setting and things. And I had an instructor at Hawking that told me that in the class, he said, I want you to write down your 5-year and your 10-year goals. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to write this stuff down. But I did. And I wrote down that I wanted to be working in 5 years. I wanted to be somewhere out west, and that I wanted to be working in some sort of wildlife related field or natural resources. And by golly, that was my goal. I mean, I was focused on that. I worked 2 jobs to save money so that we could move out west and have enough money to live on and pay rent in case we didn't get jobs right away. Like, I wanted 6 months worth of living expenses. And man, I saved all of our money, and that's what we did. We moved to Nevada. I think I mentioned to you that originally we were going to move to Phoenix.
How
Phoenix
funny is
in the
that?
80s. Yeah, it was like super easy to get around, and Glendale was like way out there, Now Glendale's like across town, But
Yeah.
but yeah, we were going to move to to Phoenix, and then my one brother, the younger of my 2 brothers, was living in Reno, and I thought, well, why don't we move there? At least we'll know somebody, right? So
Right.
we moved there and got jobs within a week of moving there.
Yay.
And yeah, I worked in a bank for a year before I got back into what I wanted to be doing.
With natural resources?
Yeah, I kind of, I didn't get into wildlife. I ended up in parks and recreation. So I was a park ranger for about 10 years for Washoe County
Wow.
in Reno.
I think I didn't tell you this, but my daughter was a park ranger.
Really? Really?
She worked
Where?
in Mammoth Lakes,
Oh, cool.
Mammoth
Yeah,
Mountain.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful down there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very
Amazing.
pretty. So,
Well,
I
we
thought
were
that was
not
funny.
peace officers, so we didn't write people tickets or anything.
Right.
I was
Right.
really just a well-dressed trash picker upper, to be honest, and bathroom cleaner, to be honest with you. So
Yeah.
it was still a
Yeah.
fun job. I mean, it was great. It was really a fun job.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah.
for
And
cleaning
the other
bathrooms.
thing is that she had gone to school in Brooklyn. So she's like, I'm trading in the high rises for the trees. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's true.
That's awesome.
What do you see around there? Hi, Kimberly. Nice to
Hi,
see you.
Kimberly.
Yeah, she's
Yeah, I did that for a while, but then
And then how did you move forward from there? You know,
well, I
did you
wanted to, yeah, I wanted to go. I went back to school because my boss at the time, like, I wanted to be able to progress, and move up. And I was kind of getting to after about 6 or 7 years, I start getting the 7-year itch. That's kind of my pattern, as I get bored with something and I'm ready for the next challenge. So my boss at the time was a friend of mine, and he said, well, if you don't even have your bachelor's degree, you're not going to get promoted if you don't have that. And so I was like, well, shit. so I went back to
you had an
school at
associate's
like
degree, right?
age 29. I went back to school and got my degree in range management, natural resources.
But
And
at that point,
was,
you had an associate's degree, so you only had to do
yes.
like 2 more years. You didn't have to start from
Yeah,
square.
it took me a little longer because I was still working full time at my park job. And
Okay.
I went to my bosses and I said, I'll work every weekend and holiday if you'll give me the time that I need off to go to my classes so I can get this degree. And they said, okay. So
Nice.
they didn't pay for it, but they gave me the time to be able to go. So it took me a little longer to get everything, but fortunately, quite a few of my credits transferred. So I was good that way. And meantime, my husband and I split, and subsequently I met my current husband there.
Okay. Okay. So you met him at school? All right.
Yes, yes.
And what did you decide to stay there, or what did you do at that point? And
Well, my husband took early retire. He was a range professor at University of Nevada, Reno, and he took early retirement. He was from Idaho and had been teaching there for almost 20 years, and decided that he wanted to go go play rancher, and um, he was tired of university politics and all of the things that. So he sold his place and went and bought a little ranch just north of where his parents had lived, and it took him about 3 years working on me, doing this long distance back and forth uh, relationship, and finally it was like, all right. He says, I can't move back to Reno. So basically it was on me. I needed to make a decision. Am I going to stay in Reno? Am I going to quit my job that I liked and go to Idaho and do, I don't know what. So I chose door number 2, and I went to Idaho and never looked back. I do miss my
great.
family in Reno stuff, but yeah, so I moved
Were
to
you
a
married at
small
that
town.
time, or were you guys still dating?
Well, I told him, I did tell him that if I'm going to move, hi Judy. I told him if I'm going to move to Idaho, we have to have some sort of a legal contract here. So we got married just like a month or so after I moved up there. So he agreed to
Gotcha.
my terms, and yeah, we got married.
Okay.
We got married.
Okay. That's awesome. So what did you do when you got there?
Well, I always kind of wanted to live in a smaller community. And actually what I did was, before I agreed to quit my job and move up there, I took all my vacation time and a leave of absence for a couple of weeks, and I went up and spent 6 weeks at the ranch, and loved it, and met some great people, neighbors and so forth, and decided, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I moved up there in September of 97. And then he was doing range management consulting as a side business, because the ranch is just, I've told people, the ranch is a lifestyle property. It's not going to earn you a living. It pays the property taxes and gives you a little money to go on a trip every year or something. But we did range and ranch consulting, and we had clients all over the Western United States. Like I'd say the bulk of our bigger long-term ranch clients were mostly in Wyoming and Utah. But we did smaller jobs for other ranchers locally, and then elsewhere in the West.
I
But
think I have to stop you because I don't know how many people that are watching now and that are watching in the future would know what range and ranch consulting is. I mean, I happen to know because
okay.
I was at UC Davis, but could you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So just if you're familiar at least with the Western United States, most of the land that you see out there is considered rangeland. If it's not forest land or cropland, it's considered rangeland. So that could be, deserts, forests to some degree are also considered rangelands, but it has nothing to do with whether they can raise livestock. It's a land classification. Rangeland is a land classification. So you have cropland, which obviously grows crops, and then you have rangelands and you have forest lands. So range is a classification. In the West, a lot of the land base out here is considered federal land. So it's managed either by the United States Forest Service or the Bureau of Land Management. So one is under USDA, one is under Department of Interior. So different bureaucracies. Don't get me started on bureaucracies, but I'm not a fan. But so what we did was there's been a big push, especially in the 90s. There were a lot of people that were unhappy with the way public lands were being managed for livestock grazing. And livestock grazing is one of the one of the uses, one of the multiple uses that are written into law and statute that these rangelands can be used for. But people were unhappy with the way they were being used, and some would say abused. And so our job was to go in
Why
and help.
abused?
Abused by overusing streams, leaving livestock on certain areas for too long, and causing erosion and things like that.
I see.
So our job was to go in and help the ranchers who had public land grazing permits to do a better job of managing their livestock in order to do a better job of managing the resources on the land. And so
sounds smart.
That was what we did, was we wrote the grazing plans for the ranchers and we took into account their private lands, which are also intermingled with these public lands as well, and how to move them seasonally to best use the resources to benefit their animals and their livestock, as well as the land itself. So it was really gratifying to go out and see some of these areas and how they looked. And part of our job was to monitor these areas. So we would go out every fall and take photos and measurements at the same sites every year, and we could compare them with what had happened the previous years. And it was really pretty incredible to see, just with changing some things around about when livestock were in a certain area and how long they were there, allowed the resources to recover tremendously. So it was really a great,
very gratifying.
And then, that livestock were healthier and, produced better results as well. So it was really fun.
So were your clients mainly ranchers then?
For the most part, they were, but we also had to work with the agency people, because they had to agree to the plans that we put together. And actually, we worked with them to come up with these plans for our clients. But once in a while, we would actually work for the agencies. Like, they would call us in to help with a problem in a particular area, and they would bring us in to kind of help come up with a solution for an issue.
So you were working both sides?
Often, yeah.
That's
Mainly,
good.
we were trying to get our clients together on the same side as the agencies, so that they were working as a team, because they were working maybe not for the same goal by and large.
Yeah.
Because if the resources trashed, the rancher's not getting any benefit from that.
Right.
So they wanted to do the right things. They just often didn't know what was the right thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we helped them with.
Wow, that really is helping the underdog. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That must have felt very gratifying to make
agriculture is really under fire. I don't think people understand really what's happening in agriculture always. I'll say there's bad actors, just like there is in any walk of life. Just like in our community, we have some of those issues. But
don't get me started, please. Stop.
Most of the people want to do the right thing. Like, they don't want to be the bad guy. They're not just the big bad, the big bad wolf out there. Sometimes they're just up against it, and they're doing the best they can.
Yeah.
So
I gotcha. Well, that must have been very awesome. So
it was great. It's great just to be out, getting outdoors in the fall, and seeing the wildlife and everything.
Pretty cool. Did you buy any yourself? Besides the ranch, did you buy any land? How did you get into real estate? Talk about that too.
Oh man. Yeah, I've told people this before, that I've just always been interested in real estate, and I'm not sure why, but I always had that yen to own property. And but what I've found is that I didn't enjoy being a landlord, not even a little bit.
Not even a little
was just
bit,
like a big headache, just a hassle. Mainly because, I guess I would have had more of a mentor, or someone who could help me understand things and make smart decisions. That would have been different. But the first piece of property I ever bought was in our little community. It was this little half-acre lot that had this decrepit old house on it, and we had the fire department burn the house down, and we cleaned for a training thing, and then we cleaned up the mess, and then we just held on to this lot for a while. Well, my
Whoa,
husband
whoa, whoa,
decided.
whoa, 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 whoa. That's funny. I think you got a piece of land. The house wasn't worth keeping. So you said, hey, fire guys, come on down and practice putting out a fire because we're going to start a fire on this. That's what you did?
They did it, they did it all. But yeah, it was, I don't
Oh, they
even think
started
we
the
could do
fire
that.
too?
Oh yeah, they set the fire because they used it for practice. Like they would set it and then they'd go in and put it out and then they'd come back and, just practice different ways of entry and different things like that. And eventually they just, let it all burn down. And then we had to clean up the mess.
Funny.
But
Yeah,
it was pretty crazy.
that's actually a very smart thing to do because how do they get practice?
We got a little tax benefit out of that too. I'm not so sure that you can do that anymore, but I think the statute of limitations on that one has passed. So yes.
That's hysterical. That's hysterical. So what did you do with the land once the house was burned and you cleared it away?
We just let it just sat there. Well, actually, what part of our plan was for when my husband's mom she still had her ranch in about 50 miles from us in Weiser. And when she was getting older, and our thought was we would put like a manufactured home on this property because it had a great well, and it had a well and the septic and power already there because the house was there. And so we thought, well, we'll put a manufactured home on it for mom, and she can move in there. She'll be close to us. But unfortunately, she passed away before that all came to pass, and we just kept the lot for a few years, and then my husband's like, let's just sell that thing. We irrigated, had a little bit of water rights, and we'd irrigate it and go down, take the mower down and brush hog it once a year or something. And then, he's just like, let's sell that thing. And I still regret selling it. It was the first piece of property, first real estate I ever owned. I wish I still had it.
Yeah.
Not that it wasn't making us any money, it wasn't at the time. And now I probably could get like 10 times what we got out of it, just because, maybe not 10 times, but a lot.
Do you know what's happened with that piece of land? Has anybody?
Oh, yes, it's still in our community. That's another reason that I wish I still had it, because it's like a hoarder mess right now. Yeah.
Okay.
I could have bought it back from the people that bought it from us. I kind of wish I'd have got a hold of those people and before it got to the state it is now and said, hey, we want that lot back. What do you want for it? But hindsight. But we've owned a few other things. We owned a little rental property here in Arizona, and we decided that was same thing, renters, and we had a property manager that was just like taking us to the cleaners, and it was just crazy. And we just decided to sell it on seller finance. So we found a lady that wanted to buy it, an older lady, and we made her a heck of a deal. And at the time, interest rates were pretty low, so I think we're getting 5.5 or 6% interest, which is not great, from our side, but it worked for her. We made it work for her so that she could have a payment that she could afford, and we were getting the interest and stuff. So
great.
So that little property actually I still have a few years left on it, but I learned some stuff because we sold it once before, and the people couldn't make the payments, and so we had to do a deed in lieu of foreclosure on that. So I learned about foreclosure, but we worked with them up front, and I said, if for any reason you cannot do this, just let me know and we'll fix it. We'll make it go away. And that's what we did. So it worked out. And I learned, I learned about deed in lieu of foreclosure.
Yeah. How cool is that? You did the right thing, and then you ended up with it back and you could sell it again.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
And didn't really have to do anything. I think we put an air conditioner. I think we put a new AC unit on it. But other than that, well, actually, I think we did that for our renter. So it had
Mm,
brand new AC on it. But yeah, we
nice.
owned a couple other, we owned a fourplex of condos, and same deal. We had that with some friends, and they were managing it, and it was kind of a hassle for everybody. And we were trying to Airbnb our unit. We kept a unit, and that was just not fun. So we said, "Nee, we don't like this." And
Well, you
uh,
should have had
yeah,
Gabriella in there. She would have been a helpful, or Marta.
well,
Marta knows a lot about that stuff.
I know, I know. Well, this was in. Well, I don't really want to tell you where it was, but
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but it's so interesting that people, yeah, Gabriella says, totally. She would have done it. Aw, she's so sweet.
it
Uh,
was a long distance thing. But yeah, there was a lot of different factors at play.
I hear
But
you.
our friends, we ended up actually selling them our interest in the condo that we had kept. We sold them our half interest in that, and
Interesting.
so they have it
Well,
now.
I'd like to move us on a little bit to sub two. Now, what the heck is this between you and Kevin Chow? Some kind of a weird
Kevin,
relationship.
that's so
What's
funny.
going on here?
So it's so funny because a couple of years ago, I was like, casting about for what do I want to do, and I knew something real estate. I'm gonna do real estate, right? And so, I get on the internet, and I'm googling up, real estate, and getting on YouTube and whatnot. And who pops up the pace? Who's got the most content? And so you're like, join my free group and blah blah blah. So I get in the free group Facebook page, and I'm
You must be
consuming
the
all this
most
stuff.
famous person to have come out of that free Facebook group. Pace
Yeah,
adored you. We all love you.
it's so
You've been
well,
such
it's
a
so
huge
funny because
asset.
Kevin, well, and I don't know why, but anyway, but Kevin, so I went in there. I'm like, well, tell me, somebody, Pace is always like, well, talk to my students about sub two. So I go on and make a post about, I'm interested in learning more about sub two. Is there somebody, sub two student that can talk to me about it? And so Kevin answers my post, and so we got on a call, and he was just really, it was really funny because he was still pretty new in sub two at the time. I don't think he was doing, I don't know what he was doing, actually wholesaling or something, but he's like, he kept saying, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. And sadly, he did not get the, so I think the referral fee was like $400 or something, and he never ever got it. So I was kind of sad about that he didn't get the referral. But
Yeah.
yeah, I always tell him, I said, I always give you credit for getting me into sub two, because you talked to me on the phone, and I decided to plunk down the money and join sub two. So
What did
then, so once I joined, then just to, kind of, I'm really close to joining about the same time you did, Effie.
yeah.
Joined, and I attended Clever Summit virtually, because it was right after we had
Dude.
left here. I loved that, even virtually. I had never done
Oh
anything
yeah.
like that before. It was so cool, and I met a bunch of people that were in the, also there virtually, and I felt like I knew everybody there, and I was brand new in sub two, maybe a couple weeks at that
Right.
time, and uh, then I did dumb stuff and trying to lend and different things like that, and we can talk about that whenever. But but I did. It was not long after that. So I was super impressed with Vina when she spoke on stage. I was just like, who is that woman? Oh my God! I mean, I had no idea who any of those people were really, but she just stood out to me as this incredibly intelligent, amazing woman. And then when Pace came up with that, the fund of funds that he did for her syndication in North Carolina, I was like, I want to do that. And so I jumped in and did that, not really even knowing that much about syndications or, any of that stuff. But I just kind of took that
Was that
leap of faith and
and
got
jumped
into
in?
that.
Now,
Yeah.
was that the first time that you did something with Pace? Was that the first time? The
Yes.
syndication?
Yes.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
And
And it was cool because I got to meet some of the other people like Paula and Malcolm Finlayson and um, Wendy, Damian Cooks and Wendy. Oh gosh, what's her
Haskell?
last name? She's Texas. No. Oh, anyway, I was just thinking about her the other day. And I met Molly. Molly was there, and
That's
oh,
cool.
there's several people.
Quite a
Yeah, it
way
was
to
just really cool.
quite a way to make an entry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the hell I was doing, I just knew I had some funds and I wanted to invest in something, and so yeah, just a really great, so many great opportunities have come from that, from Sub Two in general. Just I'm really grateful for Sub Two and the community because I've met so many awesome people and um, just had so many awesome opportunities. I
Yeah.
can't say enough good.
Yeah. It's interesting that we started just about the same time. And yet you got going in a much bigger way because I was still in Canuck land and, with
Right.
COVID and everything. I often think that that might have saved me from some of the um, errors that other people made, because there was people tripped up, right? And people used their enthusiasm, and then they ended up finding out that that person didn't have as much experience as they thought, or whatever. So
Yes,
it is
that would
interesting
be
to.
me.
It would have been me too if I were here, probably. But what happened was I got to know you, and I got to see you and other people going, oh dear, it's not working out the way I'd hoped. And I'm like, what?
Right.
Why not? So learning from other people is really, really something that I owe to people who started even later than me, because it's taken me so darn long. And then I did some lending, but I got super spooked by it all. And I kind of pulled back, stopped. And now I'm just
Yeah.
getting into it again, but um, with a different
Sideboards.
sense. Yeah, more
Yeah.
more education and more knowledge and more hesitancy. But it is
Well, one thing I'll say, I did many things wrong, but one thing I'll say is that there are a lot more resources available now than there were 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And granted, I probably skipped a few lessons in the vault that I probably should have checked out, but some of the stuff that's in the vault now was not in the vault at the time.
Right.
So, yeah, I've learned some expensive and painful lessons. I have a couple of loans that I'm never gonna see that money again. So, which is, it sucks, but I feel fortunate that it was not my last money, or nor was it a family member's money. It was mine, and it was my mistake, and you know, it's
Yeah. You know what, Julie?
somewhere,
I have to agree with you in that it could always be worse, right?
right?
The fact that it wasn't your family's money makes a big difference, or someone else's. I was talking to another person just the other day who has lost a major amount of money to just a handful of people that have been irresponsible and haven't paid back. And she's still making all the payments to the bank because she borrowed to get it, and
Oh,
she brought in a friend, and it was her friend's money. So she is paying back the friend. She's paying back all that debt that these irresponsible, you know
That's
care me
awful.
nots.
I mean,
Yeah. So it could be much worse because that's the kind of person that we really want to have in the community and is so special. Uh,
integrity,
yeah,
integrity.
integrity, but also, having to take more jobs or to live in a way you don't want to live, to do without because somebody
Yeah,
else is taking your money and off they go,
yeah.
and then they have the audacity to post, oh, I tripped this morning and things are hard for me. I was like, "Oh, no, I don't wanna even
Please.
see this," please. So, yeah, I have to agree that it can always be worse. If it's your money, it's terrible, but it can always be worse. So, yeah,
It can,
it's
but I feel bad for people who really did did use other people's money, and then they loaned to somebody without the integrity. I understand things happen in real estate and all that, but honestly, um, some of it was just, I don't, probably some of it was malicious or it was on purpose. Some
yeah,
of it was just stupidity, but some of it was malicious, I think.
yeah. I agree. I agree. I'm sorry to hear that, Kimberly, that you are in a similar situation right now. Look, there's over 13,000 of us, and you bet that when people who are, um, of that fabric that are in the business of ripping people off. They see a community like ours where the main themes are be a giver, all tides, tides, the raising tide rises all ships and this and that, squat up, um, and that we have money. Well, of course, some of them are going to say, all right, here I come. And that's a real, real shame. But
Yeah,
it is very unfortunate. But um, at the same time, there's a heck of a lot of good people. I feel so honored to have gotten to know you over the time. And I do feel like,
likewise.
because I do know some of the people that you're talking about, I do feel like at my own old granny stage of almost 70, I want to pick up a baseball bat and go find out where they live. I just want to go and say, give
I
Julie back
know.
her money.
Yeah, it's like it's really hard to not want retribution. Like I really kind of had to pull myself back from that edge because I was like, I really wanted to
Yeah.
go, make
Yeah.
things
You
happen.
get so upset about it.
But I
You get,
finally decided that I needed to just have a little different attitude about it and just stop
yeah.
being like that and just going, you know what?
Yeah. Because it doesn't do good. It doesn't do good.
It's not,
Right.
yeah, it's not
And
serving.
and God
It's not
forbid that I
serving.
ever got a hold of a baseball bat, did hurt somebody, then that would be, I'd probably hurt myself, Anyhow, so yeah,
I
I
told
agree.
somebody I wanted them to go and sit. I was like, well, I don't want to hurt anybody, but how about if we just go sit in front of their house with a sign that says a deadbeat lives here? Something like that. I don't know.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I do think that there are so many people that are treasures, real treasures, that the balance is very much in that favor, for sure. And now we have, some the badges to help us become
But
more
great
intelligent.
resources. Yeah, so many new resources that I think are just incredible. I think people get a lot of value out of that, and um, I'm really happy to see
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
Mel's
when you
doing,
started
and
going really
among other
quickly,
things.
I was a little bit like, "Oh, no, wait, too much. I don't know everybody anymore. Hold on." But then I started to realize the positives because there are more resources and they reorganized and they've got some, like Melissa Palmer, and so many Abraham
Hmm.
and Alexis with the training, Bo. There's so many people that have been brought in to provide a much different experience that I think we're it's even better. It's even better.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took me a little while to get that. I was like, oh, but wait, if we didn't have these numbers, maybe we wouldn't have been able to afford to do all this. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it very, very much. So, what would you say to someone who is looking to start in real estate at this point, Julie? Because I know your PML and PMP, for those who don't know, means a private money lender and a private money partner. Of course, real estate investor in many, many different ways, right? But what would you say
Right.
to someone who says, "Hey, Julie, I want to get started"? They are beyond knuckleheads. Sorry. Sometimes I click on something and then I'm like, wait,
Right.
where did that come from? Sorry, guys. I know I'm not as good as I will be in the future.
Donovan.
But talk to me
Well,
about the
what I say?
advice you give.
Wow, I guess that's a little bit of a tough question, I think, really, because I the one thing, if nothing else, one thing I've learned is that there's so many ways to make money in real estate, and you don't have to own all the things. I mean, it took me a while to come to that, and really Pace has created sort of this one-stop shop where you can learn what your what your avatar is, or your interest is. Do you There's so many things we can all name. You can do short-term rentals, long-term rentals, multifamily, TC, or any combination of those things. And that's what's really incredible about it, is that there's no one thing that means real estate investing. So to me, just I would tell somebody to go and kind of figure out what you like. What appeals to you. Do you enjoy? I think about Gabriella or Marta and their desire to be these great short-term rental hosts, and they're just they're amazing people. They love to serve people in that way. And then I think of people who are going out, like the Brileys, are going out and killing it in the multifamily space, and people like that, and Elena and Kirk just buying single family. That it's just so many things that are just the coolest. And I think just being able to collaborate with other people gives you, like, I've always liked to work with other people on projects, because you get that sort of, where you're working off of each other. And, well, I have this idea. Well, what about that? Well, what if we do this together? And then, you come up with something totally different. So that's what's really kind of fun about it, is that you can work with other people to get where you want to go and where they want to go. And, it might be something that you never even started out thinking about, which is kind of like, for me, I mean, I thought, well, I just want to go buy some rentals, and I ended up, I'm doing something else. I'm investing in funds. I'm investing in partnerships and lending. So
And
yeah, so I
syndications
can
and
kind of
all this.
keep my fingers in it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I think
The
that that's a
community
good.
is great. I just have to give a shout out to everybody, and thank you, the people that came out to support me. Thank you so much. You guys mean so much to me. Just having this community and the people that I've met in here is just, I don't know, it's like no other. It's so incredible. And I'm just really grateful and humbled
Yeah,
to call you guys friends.
right. I
Tiffany.
completely agree. And you can see that there is an outpour, because I haven't even said yet. Come on, guys, show her the love. Is that what Pace says? I don't know. I'm not really good at that. Oh, okay. Melissa says I better put some hearts in now.
No,
But yeah,
thank you.
I agree.
No,
I
I
agree.
appreciate everybody.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And I appreciate everybody also. And and for once, I'm not going to forget it. Hey, guys, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. This is the first time 3 episodes that I remembered. Please subscribe and hit like and make comments. I don't know what else.
And
Send
share.
money. Give me your
Share.
firstborn. I don't know. Share.
Like and
There
share.
you go. There you go, for sure. All right, guys. Well, I'd like to say thank you very, very much. And we shall see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Yay.
Bye.
Thank you, Effie.